The only thing that keeps a guy surviving in our business is that eye of the tiger, and you see when guys lose it. I don't care how good a fisherman they are, have been, whatever, like, you gotta have that competitive fire. So here we are, as you can tell, we've actually been here before. We're in the Atchafalaya Basin, and normally everything is pretty and green, and so it's winter time. Kind of the end of the winter for us, you would say. We would expect any time the weather's fixing to warm up. What was I saying? That's my favorite way to fish. Just gonna kind of break it down how you fish tidal rivers in the wintertime. And the deal is, what we're doing today works from, let's call it the mouth of the Rio Grande, all the way around to South Carolina, North Carolina. There are these tidal rivers, and basically we're gonna break this one down. We've been here at different times of the year, but never in the dead of winter, and it's one of my favorite times to go fishing. You know, today was actually my second day on the water of 2024. I did do a little snooping around yesterday before we got out there. We had a big storm front came through, really a major cold front, you know, for our area, hit the day before today, before we filmed. Had some high winds, 40-mile-an-hour gust. Dropped the temperature back, you know, the nighttime temperature, I think before we got started this morning, was mid-30s. And it actually did warm up and feel pretty good this afternoon, but it's winter time. So there will be a lull today, you know what I mean? Like, I try to hit some really hot stuff right off this morning, and then after that, there are going to be times of the day when it's not as good, and then it'll pick up, you know, from lunch on once it warms up, and not necessarily just because of the temperature, but because of these high slip skies. You know, yesterday this is a pretty good cold front for us. It went through, and you know, we had gusts yesterday to 40, but always the day after the front, you know, fishing will start to go down a little bit just because the pressure is going to be so high. It's going to be so dead calm, you know. It'll affect them some, but we've got some magic for that too. Typically, the shad, the bass, they all migrate into these places that are protected from, you know, basically bad weather. And I think the main thing is they don't like to fight that current, cold water current, you know, in the winter, and they move in these places and they're protected and they warm up quicker. And it seems like all the life, you know, comes back into these places, and the water's cleaner. And like I said, they'll live here till it's hot, till it just gets, you know, the water quality starts to go down, and then they start to move, transition back to more places of current. Big one. Number one. Oh, cold water bass. Probably the hottest bait in bass fishing right there. Tungsten thunder cricket. Let's see if he's got a friend. I mean, eating it. I love this time of the year. It's my favorite. And I will have to be honest to you, when I found this yesterday, God. That was a nice one. I don't really know why that happened. But anyway, when I found this yesterday, I worked them over pretty good. It was so fun. I like to, you know, I'm a bass fisherman at heart. I like to get them. I saw that one get it by a 3-pounder. I probably needed to retie and I didn't, you know. You know, I kind of expected those fish to be doing one or two things, and it really seemed like they were only doing one. It all seemed like they were bunched up in any place where the water was coming out. Every cast. And it's really fun, and we're gonna do some other we're gonna fish for some big ones today too, but I mean, who doesn't like catching them every cast? And the only reason I pitched him back on the other side of the boat, I don't want him to go back and tell his buddies, don't bite that. Wintertime shad base, it's always that way. Those fish have an opportunity to gorge. And when the water's cold, a bass doesn't seem to be affected as bad at his movement as a shad. It seems like when it gets to a certain point, you know, let's say the water temperature gets in the mid-30s, the shad die. Like they can't take water temperature, but that bass, on the other hand, like a great white shark, he's not affected by that cold temperature, so he makes hay when the water's cold. Those shad are moving slow, it's a great time. Isn't that funny how you can just make little bait changes? That's just a little 200 KVD jerk bait. And I will be honest with you, like anytime I'm fishing wintertime, shallow fish, cold water, I typically stay smaller lures. Like even though we're not fishing for smaller fish, I will keep my bait choice smaller. I think you get more bites, you know, in colder, shallow water that way. And it does seem, you know, these fish are eating shad, so anything shaddy. Now, there'll be some of these dead ends we'll be in today that have a lot of big gizzard shad in them, but this here's threadfin. And we're gonna go off and let it rest sometime, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna catch some more every cast. Maybe that'll be the headline of this show, every cast. This week on Protein Journal, every cast. You know, the cool thing about when these fish move into these places, I mean, a lot of times they'll be in the middle when it's cold. I mean, I don't know that this deal was that severe enough to do that, but when the water temperature really gets cold, they'll be out in the middle on bait. They won't be relating to any of the visible cover. And then the other thing you have to pay attention to is, like, some of these canals will have grass. There'll be coontail out in the middle. And even though there's all that logs and wood, like, nothing trumps grass. You know, it's one reason, yet if you notice, like, I'm really just casting to the edge of that stuff. I'm not really targeting. And it's also early. And a lot of times, you know, earlier in the day before the light gets high, they'll be pretty loose. And what I mean by that, they'll be relating around the cover, but not necessarily in it. There he is. Get in here. And I guess maybe the deal is that, you know, that water's not running as hard, and they pulled out, like that one came way out. And they were up there yesterday, right where that water was coming out. But maybe I just need to get them fired up. put a 300 jerkbait on there because I want to fish out there in front of it a little bit, a little deeper. And just wanted to see, but so far, no takers. Now that one bit me way out. Now something, oh, I thought he was foul hooked for a second. Oh, I really thought there for a second I might have had two. He was way out. Bit real lethargic though, you know what I mean? Like I kind of thought I had trash when he didn't get it good. That's a better one there. I feel like he bit good. They want that bait just sitting there, like they're getting it when it's dead stopped. Oh yeah, it's a nice one. He's got it cigared. Cigared. Ooh. Big old chunk. A pretty bass, winter time. You know what, if we have to catch every one of them here, we catch every one of them here. They're getting bigger, so. I don't know how good this one is. I don't guess he's that big. Ooh, but he was wild. He was so wild. So this is not exact. I knew we were going to do some of this today. I didn't know that we were going to do this much of it, but you know, I needed practice. You know, that Elite Series is fixing to start here in a few weeks, and this is kind of good batting practice. You know what I mean? It's kind of get you confidence that, hey, you know, it don't always have to be fishing. A lot of times it can be catching, and I just assumed it was catching. So one thing about the area that we fished in today is how scenic it is. Growing up as a kid, I was a huge dinosaur fan, and I can only think of what kind of dinosaurs lurked around here, you know, during prehistoric time. It looks like that now. You know, I love going out west, and I love the mountains, and it's beautiful, but, you know, dear to my heart are these lowland bodies of water, slow-moving rivers, cypress trees, the Mississippi River, which I grew up on and have been from where it begins to the Gulf of Mexico where it ends. But the majority of the state of Louisiana is wetlands, you know, whether it be bird habitat, you know, fishing holes, all the way. We have so much, you know, coastline. We have probably the largest saltwater estuary in the United States. You know, from the mouth of the Mississippi, the mouth of the Atchafalaya, the area in between. And it is very important that we take care of this because, wow, there's no other place in the world that looks like this. So, you know, we're on a natural lake today. We spent the last couple days on a tidal river system. At one time, all these bodies of water were connected. Now they're separated by levees. The last couple days have been about moving water. This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with wherever the warmest water is. That's really what affects these fish. They're not affected by current. There's no current here. There's no, you know, even the wind wouldn't have that big of effect on them right now. Preferably right now, these fish want to be where there's no wind. You know, they want to warm up. Again, this much like the place, this lake was completely iced over 3 weeks ago. Now I got a black and blue hack attack jig on there, and the water's clean. I would, once the sun gets high, I'd probably change colors, but I just like you know, that dark bait in the morning, they can see it well. And a lot of times when it's dark, fish can be aggressive. You know what I mean? Just again, because they can't see that well, so. And here's the deal, like basically that bait that's on the end of that pole that's my eyes. So I'm feeling the bottom. Like right now, I'm feeling for cypress knees, like if the bottom's mucky, is there some vegetation out there, you know? But I enjoy to, you know, I enjoy to fish this way. And it's really good for taking an area apart, like being real thorough, you know? And had a bite. And it's probably my lure selection. I just needed to talk him into it, I guess. It's not a very big one, but it is a bass. And it's a buck. It's a male fish. He ate it well. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get you another. Fish doing a little bit different in the lake today than like, no fluctuating water. That's a natural lake and the water's a lot more stable in it. And basically in it was just finding the depth, you know, because pretty much the whole lake is cypress trees. And so basically was finding the trees with the right depth on them. Fish. It's like little old buck bass, you know? You have to stay confident, Mike.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who is the greatest alive? Send me the answers. Been raising the what? No elevator, we up from the floor. I've been on fire, can't pass me a torch. Made it from the bottom, now I'm on top and I'm ready for war. Oh my God.
Oh, that's a great bit. And that's what's so awesome when you figure it out. Is that right there? Huh? You like that, Russell? That's what we do, buddy. Look at that. That's the reason you use that tungsten thunder cricket around cypress trees. So let me just tell you, what was I saying? That's my favorite way to fish. Cold, winter, it don't matter. You know, you just got to figure out how to catch them. They're living on this stuff all the time. But I told you, when we catch a fat one, it would mean something. And those first four is the reason we cranked up and left.
Now I'm on top and I'm ready for war. Oh my God, yeah.
It's just so cool because growing up on a body of water, on a whole bunch of bodies of water that are identical to the lake we were on today, it's my favorite way to fish. My favorite way to figure them out. And I think I talked about this, but my two favorite times of the year, you know, to fish on cypress tree lakes are wintertime. Let's call it late winter, early pre-spawn, and post-spawn. And the reason for that is those females on those lakes group together. And it'll be a certain group of cypress trees, and those pre-spawn females will be together. And then when they get through spawning, of course, they bunch back up again. And it's that same deal. You'll catch male, 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 and then you'll catch a female. When you catch a female, then you can start, you know, concentrating on that area. If you don't live in an area that has cypress trees and you're a bass fisherman, you need to travel to one of these areas. Like I said, they exist in Zone 1, basically from the mouth of the Rio Grande all the way to North Carolina. You'll find these slow moving cypress tree rivers, cypress tree lakes, and it's just a cool, I'm spoiled because I grew up in this part of the country and have got to do this my whole life, but if you get a chance, get you some thunder crickets and wheel them around some cypress trees. We'll see you next time.